Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. So there's a looming recession, and a lot of people are beginning to perk their ears up. They're asking questions like, how long will it last? Will I lose my job? Is the government going to bail us out, bail these big businesses out? What's about to happen? All of these are extremely valid questions that are worth diving into. However, before being able to answer any of those questions, I think the more important thing to be thinking about is, how can I benefit from a recession? So in this video, I'll provide some of my strategy on how I'm planning to do just that. But before we begin, be sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell to be notified of all the latest content as soon as it drops. So number one on the list, calculate and understand your monthly expenses. This is something that may seem like a no-brainer to some, but there are many people out there who don't have anywhere written down what they spend every single month. And I'll admit, my wife and I haven't been doing the best job lately of maintaining our monthly budget consistently enough. And when people actually do take the time to list out line by line every single purchase they've made over the last couple of months, they're typically shocked at how much money they spend, let alone what they spend it on, which is important. You see, it's not often that we ask ourselves when we're making purchases, is this an asset or a liability? In my opinion, and the general opinion of most successful investors, is whether something adds intrinsic value or not, whether the thing will be more or less useful over a given amount of time. This is the mindset that helps you benefit from a recession. Oh, and before we move on, it's important to remember when calculating your monthly expenses to differentiate between fixed and variable costs, those that stay the same or change over time. For instance, during the last recession in 2008, during the financial crisis, people who had mortgages with variable rate interest loans saw their monthly payments increasing month over month with no way of getting out from under it, and ultimately went bankrupt because of it. Very important to identify your variable and fixed costs. Number two, immediately suspend luxury spending. Going back to the first point about determining your assets and liabilities, which can be a useful indicator as to whether a purchase is a luxury or a necessity. For example, purchasing stocks with your rent money is probably not a wise investment during the current economic climate, if it's going to require you to be homeless, that is. I mean, what even is money if you're still sleeping on Skid Row? But for the sake of this example, the luxury spending I'm mainly referring to are related to things like eating out, shoe shopping, travel and vacations, obviously, internet subscriptions, beware of Amazon, and even gym memberships. So my advice is to find alternatives. Prepare and cook meals at home, sell some of your old clothes that you aren't wearing anymore, buy a bike and explore the surrounding areas, which can feed the appetite of traveling around a bit and exercising. Rather than scrolling on the internet, flip through books and educate yourself, which is a great segue into my next point. Number three, learn a new skill or skills while companies are cutting jobs. This is extremely important to do in your pursuit to benefit from a recession. There are many people who are getting let go from their jobs right now. While undoubtedly there are some bad employees who are being let go, hopefully you aren't one of them, there are also some extremely valuable candidates who will be hitting the job market soon. It'll be absolutely vital to be able to compete with these individuals. The way to beat out the competition is to take on some new skill or ability that will help you stand apart from the rest of the crowd. A good direction to go in is to learn a new language, which isn't necessarily limited to just English and Spanish. I'm talking learning how to code, learning business, learning finance, because the key to learning any new skill is to learn the lingo. If you can learn the lingo, you've already put yourself ahead of the curve. A secondary benefit to learning a new skill is that it may open the door to a new passion you didn't know you had, which can perhaps lead to starting your own business and not being forced to re-enter the job market post-recession. And for those of you doubting, there are a lot of great businesses that rise from the ashes of a recession. The reason why this is because typically when things are bad, people are thinking of new ideas to solve the current problem. It's important to keep this in mind as we start to see a lot of businesses begin to fail, which frees up assets and resources that wouldn't have otherwise been available. Number four, ensure a stable income to cover expenses. Now, this can be twofold. Obviously, it's out of your hands whether a job keeps you on board or not, but for those of you who are maybe thinking about switching jobs now or in the near future, it may be best to wait if possible. In addition to securing a stable income, you may also need to downsize or reduce consumption of certain items and activities. Things like shorter showers to reduce water consumption, carpooling with someone to work or school, mowing your own lawn, or washing your own car. Similar ideas and measures may be required as well. Number five, save, save, save. I can't stress the importance of this enough. People think it's sufficient just to reduce spending, but it's equally important to have that money put aside and readily available at a moment's notice. Why? Because as I mentioned before, times like these typically cause people to become desperate. Some folks don't have the ability to do some of the things I listed above, and their only way of keeping their head above water is to offload an asset, such as a house, at an extreme discount. This is only available as an option to people who have the necessary cash reserves available to be able to pull something like that off. Now, I should note, while some people may find it unethical or immoral to purchase someone's house who's selling out of desperation for less than what would otherwise be considered fair market value, I ask this: would you recommend nobody purchases their house and they go bankrupt and suffer the consequences and repercussions of that instead? I rest my case. And for my final how-to for benefiting from a recession, number six, avoid positioning yourself to force sell investments, especially at or near market lows. This point really plays back into the fifth point about saving, because by saving and having cash reserves available, you can potentially push off the need to offload a long-term, high-value investment for a relatively short-sighted, low-value sale. When considering assets and liabilities, it's also wise to determine which liabilities are also easily extinguishable. That way you can offload them quicker and hopefully for a minimal loss. So there it is. Those are 6 ways I myself will be looking to benefit from this upcoming recession, which in all likelihood is already upon us. But before we go, please let me know down in the comments below if any of these stood out to you, or if there are any strategies you are currently implementing that you think could help others. If you enjoyed the video or took away anything useful from it, please be sure to leave a like, share it with someone, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, tap the bell to be notified of all the latest content as soon as it drops. Thanks for tuning in to the Willie G Show. Catch you on the next one. Take care.